Alright folks, in this video we are going to talk about the quadratic formula. In the quadratic formula there are a few things that we absolutely need to recall. First and foremost, standard form. When we're dealing with a quadratic equation, it's the equations that have x squared in them. Standard form is when we have a coefficient times x squared plus a coefficient times x plus a constant equals 0. It's really important that we have it equal to 0. The second skill is recognizing how we handle the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac, and we did all of that before spring break over our first quiz. And then the third thing also we did at the beginning of this unit, which is understanding what this symbol means. If I have 3 plus or minus square root of 20 over 10, that's 3 plus square root 20 over 10 or 3 minus square root 20 over 10. The quadratic formula is a combination of those three skills. The actual formula, and it's one that I'm not going to necessarily ask you to memorize yet, eventually you will have to memorize this. The quadratic formula states that x is equal to the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, there's your discriminant that we spent so much time talking about, all divided by 2 times a. So as you can see, it's dealing with all of three of those coefficients, a, b, and c. And so it's really important that you guys understand how to find a, b, and c. And that requires our equations to be in standard form, which is step one of using the quadratic formula. Make sure your equation's in standard form. That means that your equation equals 0. X squared term first, x term second, constant term third. Once you have that, identify what a, b, and c are to calculate the discriminant, substitute that discriminant into the quadratic formula, solve. Those are the skills that we're utilizing. Example 1. First and foremost, make sure we're in standard form. That's what step 1 is. I'm just going to abbreviate SF, standard form. We are. This is equal to 0. I have my x squared term first, x term constant. Then I'm already in standard form. I can just either leave it or recopy it. Once it's in standard form, we identify a, b, and c. A is always the number you're multiplying x squared by. In this case, I just have x squared, which means I have that 1 in front of it. It is a coefficient of 1. A is equal to 1. You always take the operation, the sign that's in front of your coefficient. So b is not 2. But b is negative 2. It does matter. And c, again, because it's subtraction, is negative 8. Now we use those to calculate the discriminant. The discriminant, remember, is the b squared minus 4ac part that we've been working with all along. So we substitute in to b squared minus 4 times a times c. b is negative 2, a is 1, c is negative 8. These are what we type directly into our calculator. I have taken the liberty of typing those in already. b squared minus 4 times a times c gives us 36. So I know that the discriminant is equal to 36. My quadratic formula also states that I need the opposite of b. But be careful with this, because the opposite of b, and b is negative, I have to substitute the negative into the opposite of b. The opposite of b is positive 2. So when I plug into my quadratic formula, the opposite of b goes first. That's positive 2 in this case. Plus or minus b squared minus 4ac. We just calculated that. It's 36. All divided by 2 times a. A is 1, so it's 2 times 1. Now, exactly what we did at the beginning of this chapter. I have 2 plus or minus square root of 36 over 2. That means I have 2 plus square root of 36 over 2, or 2 minus square root of 36 over 2. Use my calculator again. 2 plus square root 36, hit enter, divide by 2. Okay, so I don't want to do it all in one step. I want to do this, hit enter, I get 8. – 8, 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – 8 – Or, when I do 2 minus square root 36, hit enter, divide my answer by 2, I get x equals negative 2. There's my solutions to my quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. Okay, on the next page we're going to do one more quickly. I want you guys to actually try this. Try number 1. It's very similar to the example we just did. It's already in standard form. Okay. So your idea is now is to find A, B, and C. Use those to calculate the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. Identify what the opposite of b is. Plug into the quadratic formula. And then solve your 2 separate problems. Plus the square root, or x equals something minus the square root. So you're essentially filling all of this stuff in for these problems. Go ahead and press pause to try number 1. Rounding should be done to the nearest hundredth here. That's 2 decimal places. When you're done, unpause it to check your work. So hopefully you have negative 3, 5, and negative 1 for a, b, and c respectively. Calculate b squared minus 4ac, we get 13. The opposite of b is negative 5. 2a is 2 times negative 3 or negative 6. We get negative 5 plus or minus square root of 13 over 6. That means I have negative 5 plus square root 13 over negative 6, or negative 5 minus square root of 13 over negative 6. Go ahead, plug these into your calculator, round to the nearest hundredth, because we will get decimals in this case. Then check your answers. Should get x equals 0.23 or x equals 1.43. Any questions you have on this example? Anywhere you're stuck, you got confused, go ahead and write in the column on the right so we can talk about it in class. And then let's look at the one last question together. The major difference here is my equation, my quadratic equation, is not in standard form right now. We have to put it in standard form first. That means it has to be equal to 0. It's not. The only way to get this equal to 0 is to do the opposite on this side. It's minus 1 now. I have to add 1 to both sides. That's going to guarantee, because negative 1 plus 1 is 0, my equation equals 0. The left side I have to make sure is in standard form. My x squared term is first. That's 2x squared. Then my x term, minus 5x. And then my constant term, plus 1. I had nothing to combine with this plus 1. These are not like terms. Now my equation is in standard form. Now I can identify that a is 2, and that b is negative 5, and that c is positive 1. Go ahead and try to finish this problem. That means you're calculating b squared minus 4ac. You're calculating or identifying the opposite of b, and you're calculating 2a. You're using that to plug into the quadratic formula, the plus or minus, and then your 2 separate problems, your addition problem or your subtraction problem. Go ahead, press pause, and finish this one up. So we should find the discriminant to equal 17. That goes inside the square root. We should find that the opposite of b is 5. That goes in front of our plus or minus. That 2a is equal to 4. That's our denominator. That gives us 5 plus root 17 over 4, or 5 minus square root 17 over 4. When we round to the nearest hundredth, we get 2.28 or 0.22. And that's what x equals. We do need the x equals in those equations. When we get into class, we're going to look at a whole bunch of different examples and talk about how things could be just slightly different and how we would handle those situations.